It's just discounting, and I'm not a fan of discounting. I would highly encourage you not to discount tickets. What you could do is, again, in a way, is you could add bonuses, you could add things. So for example, one of the events we have the tickets like $400. And instead of saying, hey, I'll discount that ticket to $200, one thing I've done, the math is the same, but I've said, hey, if you pay $400, I'll give you an extra ticket. I'm still getting the $400 because if I said, hey, I'll give you a ticket for $200, do both of you want to come? They already weren't going to spend $400, right? Like, so they're now like, oh yeah, I'll just take the one ticket. So probably 3 years ago, we were doing an event and it was a big event. We had people coming from all over the country. And actually it's probably 4 years ago now with the COVID year that we canceled, but we had people flying in from all over the country. And I remember my team, as we were putting this event together, we didn't have a really dialed in budget. We kind of had a budget frame of what we wanted to spend. And I remember somebody on my team who was working in the event at that time called me like as we were getting ready to start the event and said, hey, I need to talk with you. And she comes in and she says, hey, I didn't realize when I told you what we were going to be spending with the hotel and I negotiated the contract that they have this thing called plus plus, which is taxes and service fees. And so the $20,000 you think you're spending is actually going to be like $28,000. And man, the pit in my stomach, I realized like this is one of the biggest mistakes I've made at one of my events. That pit in my stomach hit me because I realized I don't have an extra $8,000 to spend for this event. Like, so the whole 2 days that I'm doing this event, I'm panicked in the back of my mind, like how am I going to make an extra $8,000? So not knowing and having a dialed in budget and not knowing how to negotiate properly with a hotel is probably one of the biggest mistakes I've ever made in an event. But let me share with you a few others that we've made along the way. As I share these with you, I hope that they help you if you're putting on events so that you don't make the same mistakes. Really important to be clear with the hotel or venue, wherever you're going to be hosting an event, to make sure when you say this is the amount I'm going to spend, that's all out the door, all service charges, all taxes, everything included, so that there's no hidden costs. Hotels are notorious for doing this to you at an event. Coming up to you, like we had one event one year where we didn't ask, we had sponsor tables out in the hallway, and because of a previous hotel we used, they table skirted all of them and had linens on them. When we got there, they didn't have linens for these hotels. So we literally had to run out to Walmart and buy cheap linens for these tables because the hotel didn't even have them, let alone charge us for them. But you know, I've asked the hotels at times or venues to move chairs or do this or that. Next thing I know, I get a bill for it. So you've got to be really, really clear when you're working with a venue, what you're being charged for and what you're not. They'll often say, yeah, we can do that. This is the phrase I hate when we're talking with a hotel or venue. I'll say, hey, can we do this or that? Yeah, we could do that. No, yeah, no problem. We'll take care of that. Next thing you know, you're getting a bill for it. So make sure it's clearly laid out beforehand. One of the other mistakes we've made in trying to fill a room, and I'm partners in several businesses that do events, is to try to fill the room we've done where we've sold either rows of seats or we've discounted tickets. And that has never worked out well for us. People don't pay attention if they don't pay. And so we've had in many events where we've discounted tickets or even given tickets away to the event, we've had people not show up. And so one of the mistakes that we made was just discounting. And I'm not a fan of discounting. I would highly encourage you not to discount tickets. What you could do is, again, in a way, is you could add bonuses, you could add things. So for example, one of the events we have the tickets like $400. And instead of saying, hey, I'll discount that ticket to $200, one thing I've done, the math is the same, but I've said, hey, if you pay $400, I'll give you an extra ticket. I'm still getting the $400 because if I said, hey, I'll give you a ticket for $200, do both of you want to come? They already weren't going to spend $400, right? Like, so they're now like, oh yeah, I'll just take the one ticket. And that's what we found is that by discounting it, we didn't sell any more tickets. Okay, so don't discount your event. One of the other big mistakes we've made with our event is not having a clear and concise, consistent message throughout the whole thing about what they're going to learn at the event. Sometimes that has become a little challenging when we're doing a sort of business growth event. Like, what's the message? What's the thing I'm going to learn if I come to this event? And not having a clear and concise message about what do I get if I come attend. I've seen that a lot. We've made that mistake, and I see that a lot at business conferences, like not having a clearly defined offer of what I'm going to get when I get to the event. That can be a massive mistake when you put on your event. Then when you're putting on your event, have a core offer. Over the years, we've had speakers who got up on stage and made an offer for their book, their product, their coaching program, their own events. We had no idea they were even going to do that. And what happens is, again, confused minds say no. And we're already going to make an offer for tickets for the following year. So that's one thing that they're being offered. Then another thing is we now have a core coaching program that we offer at our event. But if we allow other people to pitch things, now they're sitting in the audience going, and we've made this mistake, is now they're like, man, I was just pitched 8, 9, 10 different things. Which one do I buy? And I only have so much money to spend it on what? And so now I've created an event where I've got other speakers who are making more money from stage than we're making at the event. So again, just a key thing is you create one offer for your event and every speaker drives to that one offer. This is a massive mistake we've made over the years. There's one thing I would say to take away from this video is have your one core offer that you drive everything towards. And then the last thing that mistake we've made over the years in our events, and again, please hear what I'm saying in this. It's not that we don't listen to feedback, because we have. In fact, the problem is we've heard one-off complaints and we've listened to that one-off complaint. So for example, I'll have somebody that complains about a certain thing and yet 90% of the audience loved it. And then on occasion, we've made an adjustment based on that one loud complaint. And that can be a mistake. For example, someone will say, hey, the room's too cold, but yet 10 other people say it's too hot. Those are things that that's more of an opinion of the experience that they had. Not that you shouldn't listen to it, but you've got to understand, if 10 people came up and said the room's hot and one said it's cold, which would you think it is? I would probably think it's hot. But if you took the one person that said it's cold and now you crank the heat up, now you got 20 people that are going to say it's hot. So you have to understand and take with a grain of salt and take the feedback, listen to it, objectively look at it and say, is that something we could improve in our event? Or is it just one person's one-off experience that I will hear, I will understand, but I'm not gonna readjust the whole thing? That happened way too many times, more than I can count. And what we've done is sometimes made an adjustment that ended up impacting the bigger group for the one person's loud complaint. Just be mindful of that when you're putting on events. It doesn't matter how amazing. We have world-class events that people love. They actually come back to all the time. And we get very few complaints, and yet we still have people who complain. You will always have somebody that complaints. So don't let that hold you back from doing an event or changing your event completely. If you found this helpful, go ahead, like and subscribe. Send this to somebody who's thinking about putting on an event. This may save them some heartache, some trouble, and even some money.